What's weird is to me is that Shrek and Shrek 2, their scripts never get like posted as memes.
No, they don't seem to. It's usually like the big one that gets posted is the B movie.
I think it's probably because of the opening.
Maybe.
Because the opening is the whole thing about the laws of aviation. And how bees don't give a fuck about the laws of aviation.
Growing up is realizing that the guy who was married to that woman, completely valid reactions.
Not married to her.
Were they like dating?
They're like dating. And then
completely
she like
valid
leaves him.
reactions.
She leaves him for his cruelty to the bee.
I still think like his reactions were very valid.
It's not that they weren't. It's just that the way, the cruelty with which he treats the bee, especially after finding out the bee can communicate, is a major ick for her.
Yeah. That's fair.
And to a certain point, like, he wouldn't be in a situation where the bee is cucking him if he was just kinder to the bee.
See, I didn't say that part. I didn't say that.
I did. Because that's what's
I just
happening.
think it's
Getting cucked by a bee, and it's all his fault. It is literally because he cannot imagine being kind to the bee.
I like how she'll say something really just like off the wall about him, and he'll typically just like remind her like, it's a bee.
He's right in that it's a bee, but at the same time, like, it is not the bee's fault that he gets cucked. It is his own cruelty and his lack of empathy for another living creature, especially one that demonstrates sentience and the ability to communicate.
How much funnier would the movie be if the bee could not talk?
If it was just her hallucination?
Yeah. And
well,
he's really just telling her, it's a bee.
Unfortunately, that would change how the movie ends quite a bit, because part of the whole thing about the movie is literally the bee is suing the fucking for stealing honey.
It's kind of funny that the premise was like him suing them because the humans took their honey, and like in actuality, it's not actually how that works.
No.
Like, sure, they take the honey, but humans actually provide a safe space for them.
So that would be fine if they were a wild.
They're twins.
If they were not wild.
The
problem is that Barry
look at their scales.
Wild bees.
They're taking honey from wild bees.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me, is that at like no point does like the counter argument, like, obviously it would not make for a good film, right? But part of the counter argument really should have been, well, these aren't honey from you guys. This is honey from bees that we shelter and protect. And actually, it's not a big revelation that you guys can talk. We actually talk to our bees all the time, and we just don't tell people because people would be weird.
I feel like that would ruin the movie, and I think that would just be really funny to. I feel like it would be really funny if they went that route, even if it ruined the movie.
It would ruin the movie, but it would be like a more sound ending logically if the counter argument was literally, what are you talking about? These bees consensually give us their honey. We have an arrangement. We protect them and give them shelter. And then Barry would just sit there like, and then, but then of course, you know what else happens there is that the guy also would get a W out of that. And the film, at a certain point, is about shitting on the guy for his lack of empathy.
Yeah.
Like
people would hate that ending, and then years down the line, someone would be like, "No, wait, this is actually pretty good."
But yeah, no, like B movie is one part like the bee discovering that there's a greater world around it, and the second part is look at this man and how he has no empathy, laugh at his suffering, because empathy is a driving force for humanity, and his lack of that driving force is to be punished by God.
By
That's
having a
pretty
bee
cooped
cuck
up.
him.
I'll stuck
Yes,
like that.
so like by having the bee cuck him.
I hate that this
My
conversation
gift?
sounds
The
really
light
like
of their lives may have gone out, but they had
serious,
much to
and
tell
then
us about the world they
it just
lived
comes
in.
back to that
Well,
one plot point that just makes it
Observing
all weird.
X-Force lets us learn
I'm
about
sorry,
monsters
but
that have gone
that's
extinct.
essentially what's
In
happening.
my
Is he's
book,
getting
we couldn't have asked the
he's
past
getting
for anything
cock-blocked
better.
by a bee. You can either call it being cocked or cock-blocked,
I
but
suppose
that's what
you're
happened.
right.
He was gonna hook it up good with this girl.
Still, how did
Like they were gonna be together forever, and
What
then
really
he
happened to
demonstrated like a psychopath
Very
level
nice.
lack of empathy.
Putting us to work solving
And
this
she
big
got turned
confusing
off by
mystery
that,
of theirs.
and she just wanted to
I
help
guess
the
not.
bee, and he
But
kept
that's
trying
what
to
we
kill the
Rangers are
bee.
here
And,
for.
like his suffering is of his own design.
Come on.
He built
let's
the
head back.
cage that
The
traps
rookie's
him.
inaugural expedition is today, right?
Yeah,
Nope,
but not until the afternoon.
I'm not finishing that one.
That he built the cage. He built the cuff chair. Was that what you were gonna say?
Business to do.
Important business?
We'll go with
The
that.
royal kind.
We'll go with that one.
Not really.
I mean, like that, but like that's what happens. It's like,
Come on.
and while it would like make like a funnier ending, like I said, to have like the counter sue by the honey company to be like, we provide for our bees and we keep them safe and happy. What the fuck are you talking about? That would give the man a W.
Did anyone try and counter sue him, or did they
Not
just?
in the video, or not in the movie, but there obviously you could do a whole extended lore where like the farm bees like launch a countersuit because they consensually gave their honey to the companies because the companies provide for them. Like Barry's whole thing is that he thinks they're taking honey from wild bees, which I don't remember. I don't remember them ever like putting the bees to sleep and like just taking the honey. So like that's just not a thing that happens. So like the farm bees could absolutely like raise a countersuit because they have an arrangement, and Barry does not get to speak for them. I'm pretty sure Barry
Maybe
is
they'll make
wild
a
bees.
maybe they'll make a second bee movie where Barry meets farm-grown bees.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way you can tackle like the idea of the bees like not wanting people to have their honey or consensually giving them honey, because at that point it infringes upon the entire ending of the first movie.
You think they'll make a second movie on the fact that bees are dying? That bees are, well, you know.
You could make a second film and have it be about like bees and humans having like a reconciliation, because bees as a species are endangered and need like help.
I'm wondering if that wouldn't work out so well because it would end up coming off as preachy.
Maybe. I mean, it obviously
You know,
depends on presentation, and also you have to have Jerry Seinfeld do it. Like, if you're gonna do a sequel, you either have Jerry Seinfeld as Barry B. Benson, or you have to get like a new bee that's like Barry B. Benson's like, child. But the problem with that is that like Barry B. Benson seems to have a relationship with the human, and you really can't just have Barry B. Benson have a relationship with. So he can't have a son because he never like shows romantic interest in another bee. He doesn't necessarily show like proper romantic interest in the lady, but the lady's like the closest thing he has to a love interest, because she like shows him empathy as a human, whereas every other human he's met to that point wants to kill his ass.
To be fair, if a bee looked at me and asked me if I liked jazz, I would probably feel some sort of way about it. How would you feel if a bee looked at you and just asked if you liked jazz?
I mean, like, I don't know, but like once the bee establishes that it can communicate with you, that's a creature to have like empathy for. Anyway, well, let's get back to the topic at hand. Bee movie.
They speak of the Rift War.
There
Two
are a lot
centuries
of
ago.
like things that don't
Records
make
from
sense
that
about
era
the
note the
movie
appearance
plot
of crystallized monsters.
because of the fact that
This has
farm
relations with
bees
Vermeil
exist.
Frey. Forgive me, Your
And you
Majesty,
can't
but
address
this is
any of them
sacred.
because the man
It
has to
cannot
suffer.
be coincidence.
I wonder if they just
We
didn't
have
think
called
to,
you here
to consider
to
that.
update you on their
I'm sure they
movements.
did, and it's just that
We
it
have received
kind of ruins
tidings
the
of
storytelling
Vermeil
of the
mobilizing
man's
arms.
suffering because he built the cage.
The
from
Rangers,
which he
too, may well be
resides.
forced to take up arms when the time comes. Stay at the
So
ready.
they just chose not
At the
to
ready, the
acknowledge
Rangers
the
aren't a
fact that there
combat
are
force. They
bees
exist to
that
They
research
exist for the kingdom,
pretty much
and
live
you
under.
are the sole Rathalos
If you
rider
acknowledge
in
the farm
Azuria.
bees, then
Should the
Barry
need
B.
arise,
Benson's whole
you will be
thing
tasked
about
with
like they're
duties
stealing
only
our
you can
honey.
fulfill.
How dare they? It doesn't
Yes,
matter.
sir.
There's no reason
in
for
the
the
universe-
woman to
what
We
if
help
in
him.
that
organize
universe
talks
that
with
just-
the
they
Vermilion
don't
envoys.
exist?
You will
Farm
attend
bees
as
just
well.
aren't a thing.
Well, then there's no physically. There's no
Your
way they could
Majesty,
get
are you
enough honey
sure
to
of
have
this?
shells full of honey.
What about it?
It's just...
They literally, they could not get that much honey. It'd be impossible.
If I
you
may,
have to have
Your
farm
Majesty.
bees.
Vermeil's situation is rather
But
delicate.
in the
Our
realm
front
of
relations have
impossibility,
reignited protests
There's
over
literally-
the incident
I don't
from
know if
10
you know,
years
there's
ago.
a talking bee
Some
in the movie.
denounce the
Actually, a
actions
lot
of
of
former
bees can
Queen
just talk.
Amara, the Vermilion
I don't
who
know
married
if
into
you
our
realize
royal
this,
house.
but like the movie tries to be as
Entangling the
realistic as
princess in
possible,
these political
except the
machinations
bees
talking
talk.
bees?
Surely
Except that the
endanger
bees talk and have like bee society, and humans just
No
are too
matter.
stupid to know about bee society.
This is an order. Do you understand?
Bee civilization.
And so,
Yes, Father.
like, you cannot have the film trying
We
to
shall
be like
summon you
hyper
again.
realistic,
You may
and
go.
then be like, but also the farm bees
By
don't
your
exist
leave.
because the hives do not produce enough honey. They don't. There's not enough wild beehives. Like, have you seen how big bee farms are to get the kind of honey output that they get?
They have to be big.
You have to have
Why
a
the
lot
long
of
face?
fucking bees.
Your meeting go that badly?
It sounds like we're
Like,
on the
you have to
brink
have
of
a
war with
fucking-
Vermeil.
Oh,
You have to have many bees.
well, that would explain why the
So
aristocracy's
many.
been so on edge lately.
I've been ordered to join the
And so
Vermilion
when you
peace
pay
talks.
attention to these things and you realize
What good can I
what
do?
Bee Movie is
The
about
king
is not
clearly
about
has
a
high
bee who
expectations of
discovers
you.
the
It's a good
plot of
opportunity.
they're
You should
stealing
go.
our honey. It is
Easy for
a
you to
lesson
say.
of empathy.
Come on, you must have heard what people say about
the
me behind
the
my
moral
back.
of Bee's movie is not consider what
Daughter
the bee
of the
thinks
turncoat
and how the
queen.
bee feels.
That's what they
The
call
moral
me.
is
I hear
when
it
you don't
everywhere
have
I go.
empathy,
The
you
only
end
talk
up
I hear of
like
Lady
the
Amara
guy
is as the founder
who
of the Rangers
his
and an
life
intrepid
becomes
protector
suffering
of
because he
monsters.
sees the bee
We, me and the Rangers,
succeeding
have
everywhere,
nothing but
and
respect
it
for
drives
her.
him to insanity. Which is
We've
why
all got your
during
back,
like
so
the
stand tall. We
conclusion
know you can do this.
wrap up where they're like
Thanks,
showing
Simon.
like the happy ending, and he passes
Now,
by
come on,
the
we've
store
got a
that
job to do.
that the bee has
That
with the
rookie
lady.
isn't going to train
and
herself,
he's like,
Captain.
that bee is living my life.
Yeah.
Your Highness, have you attended
His
to
lack
your
of
duties?
empathy built that cage from which he resides.
This is such an honor,
And
Captain.
you will
Getting
be
to
like
train under
him
you is nothing
if you
short
lack
of a
the
dream come
empathy
true.
that he lacks.
We haven't had a
Meaningful,
Your inaugural expedition
impactful
is meant to show
discussion
you how we Rangers do
I mean,
things.
about bee movie.
Which means we'll
I
surely
think that
be encountering
when
monsters.
you think about B movie
best
in that
prepare
way,
accordingly.
it's actually quite a
You
beautiful
got
film.
it. Aye, aye, Captain.
What starts off as a movie that seems like it's about a simple joke of like, what if bees could talk, becomes quite beautiful.
I feel like you saying that the movie is quite beautiful, and then I'm pretty sure moments later you'll be talking about how this guy got cucked by a bee.
He did get cucked by a bee,
Beautiful film.
but
Cucked by
again,
a bee.
he got cucked by a bee because of his own actions. Like again, the prison is of his design.
No, I get ya. Still.
It is like a lesson in empathy. Yes, a guy who's getting cucked by a bee, that's hilarious. But he's getting cucked by a bee because he doesn't feel empathy for the struggles of a creature that he thinks is beneath him. And I think there is a beautiful lesson to be had in that fact, because it shows that just because you think the creature is beneath you, you should still consider like its struggles and its feelings, and should be kind to it instead of just trying to kill it.
Because if I'm not, the creature will end up cucking me.
Well, because if you're not, someone will see the cruelty with which you treat a living
Okay.
sentient creature that can speak for itself. Wait,
I feel like you could have
Fia
just.
is baby. She is on the thing.
Yes.
I feel like you could have just agreed with me and said yes because whatever it is will end up cucking you.
I would love to say that it's just that he gets cucked specifically in that way, but it's because
Well.
she watches his lack of empathy that he gets cucked. And that's important to pay attention to. Everything's context sensitive, right? And part of the context is the fact that the woman watched him be this way. If he had killed the bee without the woman ever getting to speak to Barry or anything like that,
Okay.
then she would never have left him for the bee. She would never know that the bee is a living being with feelings of its own. But because she witnesses him behaving this way to a living creature that can communicate,
Hey.
he loses everything. But yeah, so ultimately, B-movie. If you intentionally read deeper than the movie actually is, then it becomes like a meaningful film.